Hello guys, today we are talking about the Spring annotations which we are used in our Spring Boot. There are multiple annotations which are given by the Spring Boots. Annotations is nothing but you can say simply a internal coding which will be running behind it and do the normal programming and executing the code. Annotations is nothing but a internal coding. You are able to create your own web API and made it available in the form of annotations. So we don't have to write the multiple boiler codes and we can use the annotations in it. And then using a multiple annotations, we can provide and we can make a REST API. With the help of annotations, we can make REST API. We are generally REST API. Behind every annotations having running a piece of code, I can tell you that. Yeah, no, normal coding is there, something like mm, you can say a this this has some fields, methods. This class have so we can execute this type of code behind the annotations, and it will execute some code. Annotations can be applied on a different level. So I can tell you that lot of annotations are there. We can talk about later. So first annotations can be applied on a class level, method level, and also field level. With these three are the basic levels where the annotations can be used. Otherwise, there are a lot of libraries which can be imported or plug it into our system and we can use directly from it, making their objects and available into a Spring Boot um, containers. Directly we can do it. And now we can talk about the annotations which we are used in our basically a normal in Spring project. Spring Boot environment understand and realize gives whether the external request is coming. We have to get to this in class in order to process by this controller. So there are first annotations which we generally used in our um, REST REST controller is there basically, which we will use for the endpoint entry, which we can use in the controller. Then there are second annotations which we use for mapping the URL to our REST controller is REST mapping, where we can write our URL, basic URL. Then there is another annotations which we will use in our system is the now we can talk about the inside the REST mapping. REST mapping is nothing but the URL combination and HTTP method combination. So inside the REST mapping, there we can write our API, which will be a common to all to one. Generally, we will use on a project payment. We are doing a payment service here, so we can write. This is our common URL which we use with this REST mapping. Then inside this, there are a lot of HTTP methods is there, which will have the different annotations for that. For like first, we will talk about the post mapping, where we can create our payment in a system, so we can use our post mapping annotations for that, so it will be executed directly by the REST controller. Then other annotations are there like get annotation is there, get mapping is there, so we can want to get directly the data from the table. So this API will make it by this, and then there is a lot of verbs are there as well, so we can use in this post mapping instead of we can use directly most mapping instead of REST request mapping. So it will understand all that this API, this method must have to do a post operations. So then we can use REST. So there are annotations are like REST controller, request mapping, and post mapping, and request param. So there are new annotations which we generally use for that is a request permission when we are passing the parameters in the URL. So we will use this so we can link up the object and the value from the URL to our system with the help of request mapping. So its name can be a different, no problem in that. Passing data and request param is not convenient, so we can use the other because it's a not it's a secure system, so we will not directly disclose all our variables into a system, so hacker can we hack it. So we are putting it in our uh, so we can use instead of this is used we are using the path variable, so we can use 2 or 3, and there are other for that. This is for variables. If we want to put JSON data, then we have a different request body correct request, sorry for this, request body is there, so we can pass our JSON data here. I can show you the all annotations which we'll be using, right? But I'm just telling you the basic information which what are we they will do. So these are this, and for the variables it we can use variables for this we will use those two, but convenient to use path variables, so we can only pass the some data, otherwise we will not we will expose all the data other than this. So this is all API. You can know that the API is a combination of URL plus method. URL which is another combination of URI, we can say that URI is using plus, and there is a SPT method which will be used in our system. The API will do this operations in the behind. So now let's see all the notations which we are used, and I will show you how they were working there. Now let me open our Spring Boot application. Until this will open, I will explain that our REST and standards for which this API we have to create it. We are creating the REST API, so we have to follow the standards for which he will create it. So their naming conventions are there, methods are there, which he will do or not, how to do it. So generally the REST API is nothing but a user STT method aligned with the proper endpoint naming convention and writing a business logic according to it. So we know our layered architecture. First it will come into a uh, let me give you the example. Now first you can say this is our project. This is our services which we are creating. This is our e-commerce client is there. This is our PayPal system is here. So this is our layered architecture. You know that layered architecture where we were doing. This is our controller. This is our service. Basically, this is inside a one service. There is a controller, there is a service, there is a DAO. Actually, sorry about that. This is basically a one service. We have a three different services: and validation service, processing service, and people provider service. So this is the one microservice part is there. Here we write our controller service and how we connect them, and then we derive. Then the request is coming from the REST, so it will go according to this. So we have to do this. Now the I think it is open. Now let's first we say that this is my base normal program which I have written. Now let's see here. These are different packages are there we will do. First, let's go into a controller. This is my REST controller. I have to then I can show you this is a REST controller which will be used in a controller. So this is the entry point for the system. So the REST API will expose it from here and then go forward into our services. So now let's see. This is REST controller. This is the REST mapping. So you can see there is a normal API which API rating. This is our URL which is basically common for all the methods. Inside this we can go and perform the services. So here now come into this. This is a post mapping. Here we doesn't pass any parameters or different modules are here. So we will do our post mapping. So only you have to nothing do something is equal to create order and nothing more than that. So yeah, this API was only then there is a query DB based on ID and return data. You know that when you are creating the payment or doing a payment, so the one ID will be given from the PayPal ID. So which will be stored, and we have to if we want to retrieve the data from that service that data, so we can use this get mapping so that DB can perform the operation. Then there is the update operation is there. We want to update the system actually. When we want to order, then we want to add. For example, we can take address. We want to update our address, so we can perform. We can do this API. So after that, this is a delete. If you want to delete an order or payment, so we can delete this from this. So there now you can see those two main annotations which will be used for the controller. Then there are for service there is also different lot of different annotations are there which will perform their activity. This is at the service inside this. If you want to go inside, the next page will be there. Then you can say there is already inside the component that's it is already present in our this thing container. We don't have to write a extra at the right component, so he will available inside the container. So these are a lot of annotations there. Then this service, then there is we have doesn't make the DAO service, we will make it after it. So there for the DAO there is annotations which is at the right repository, nothing more than that. For making the DAO it is a just repository. Sorry, my E button is not working. This will make the DAO. So you can use it in a DAO layer. This is our service layer. We don't write our database logic here, so we don't. We can make the separate, and we will do it. Then we will show other main annotations where the Spring Boot will be started. You can see here. This is our starting point for the Spring Boot application. So from here, with the class which is annotated with this will be start the starting point of the execution or application. And if you want to add some extra component like for an example, whatever inside this package, it will execute all the classes inside it will be available in a container. But if you want to, if you are creating one extra package like this, so so there's a we have to tell the Spring Boot that we have also want this, so we have to annotate it with the extra component scan. You can write here. A lot of annotations are there where they have different meanings. This is also one component, so it is make available in that, so we can use at the rate autowire is also there, so we can independent, you know, the Spring Boot concept, dependency induction and dependency lookout. So with the help of this, we can achieve the dependency injection. So let me see, injection, and there is second one is a dependency lookup, which can be achieved, which can be achieved by the application context. So it can, so basically if you want to container explicitly call the container, so that I want this object, so we can use this application context. So we can directly create an object of a string and tell that it will do it. All the objects and creation is done by the Spring Boot. So it is the IOC, you know, the basics of Spring Boot. So there is the IOC inversion of control. So it says simply that you will not create any object or maintain it. I will do it. So Spring Boot will all the creation of and managing and creating of object is done by the Spring Boot. And developer can be messy for the creating a lot of objects that can be it will make the system wide, so it as Spring Boot tells that I will handle it. You don't have to handle it. You have only have to say me when you want me to handle the object. So we can use with the help of dependency lookup, application context, dependency injection, and this. These are the two concepts which we basically use this while creating a Spring Boot object. Spring beans plot is the object which are created inside is so called the spring beans are there. So all those annotations you can see. Now we can see the more annotations we can see. We can go inside this. So you can see this annotation is basically a combination of those all annotations. And there we will talk the more important annotation which will be used for that. First one is this, the enable auto configuration. Second one is this, at the component scan. And third one is this Spring Boot configuration. This is the main three applications annotations which can be starting the our application. You can override by using the added component scan. I already told you. So there is a configuration. This will Spring creates the object of class and place it inside the container. This is annotations is used for this. Then there is a scan configuration. Now scan is being created inside the container and a scan for all the component package sub packages which is inside the executed class, which is rather than this package. Then there is enable auto configuration. It's tell the anything which required or not is automatically created and object created to a container. It already created all the classes object which are needed with the component. Now I will tell you the flow of execution, how this will flow will go. Then all are those annotations which will be used commonly in our Spring Boot applications. Then response body annotations are also there for the JSON internally. REST controller has also have one inside two main we can return this. Actually, REST controller inside have two annotations inside. One is annotation controller, which is a part of a Spring. Spring is a Spring Boot at the top of work on Spring. Spring basic concepts is there. Then there is a second annotation which will be generally the response body. Response body. Those inside those controllers, its controller is nothing but first of all this is a work for MVC monolithic applications. So in this uh, um, so the controller is basically does is a part of Spring. So there is the entry point for this, and then there is a response body, the combination with in monolithic applications. After that, this will come. Then there is a static pages which were written in the SOA. This is a service-oriented approaches. Application are there where we can return the all um, libraries pages, static pages, so it will respond according to that in controller. But then we after that we use one add annotation, this called response body. So the this response body converts that object into a JSON object, so it can be easily populated into a system. These are the annotations. At the rate configuration is annotation also there. Now we can see the flow of the execution of the program. You can see here I can give you the basic example which first of all this is our I will give you the Spring Boot container concept which is will be clear so easily. First of all there are a lot of classes are there. So this is auto wired, so it will be get inside the container is there. Container multiple objects, how we will talk, how will they will connect. So this is first I will give you the example. This is our REST controller. As we can say there is REST controller annotation is here. So here that's all from today. We will get into another lecture.